Hey, told y'all, all that being from the hood, growing up, single mother, getting it out the trenches and getting to the NBA, it's over with. The top 10 draft picks this year, if you've seen the round table, 2-parent households or the father is very, very engaged in that man's career. All the Allen Iverson, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, you've seen that single mother, they struggling and then my son made it. It's over with in the NBA. The NBA is the new golf. It's going to take serious resources and connections for trainings to get your kids to the right school, all of that great stuff to be in the mix. And it takes a male figure that has to engage in his career early on and push him to those levels that he needs to get to that round table. Better pick another sport. The NBA ain't it no more for you.
Hey, shout out to the content creator. And you know what? What's funny about this? Shout out to the single mothers. Because we wouldn't have had a LeBron, wouldn't have had a Kevin Durant, and so on and so forth, without those strong single mothers actually pushing their son, putting them in the right position, making connections for them to be able to make the NBA. Now, on the flip side, I think that this is a great thing. You know what I mean? Here's the truth. We don't want single mothers. That is the most craziest thing to say. I know. We don't want single mothers. We want strong marriage households, because then that builds strong community, that builds a strong country, right? And that builds strong families. We don't want single mothers. So let me make sure that's been said. Again, you know me, I don't really talk down, but I do speak facts and talk truth. The fact of the matter is right now, there's a transition happening, right? And I've been saying it through multiple videos now. Dudes have taken a step back to readjust. And now when they get ready to take them few steps forward to see what a landscape is now, they're starting to piece things back together, right? They're starting to piece things back together. And this is just a great viewpoint on even on the NBA side. Now there's grassroots things going on now, but what he's talking about too, things that's kind of happening behind the scenes, maybe not as loud right now in the media and things of that nature, maybe not as seen, but this is a great thing, right? We want fathers in the household to build up young boys into men, to place them in position at a high level to be able to perform, right? And make the money and build that career that they want to have. Now, here's one of the things he didn't mention on why that may be the case, especially for the NBA. See, initially in the NBA, it was a lot of dudes just coming from different neighborhoods, and you know they really was getting it out the mud, right? And they would make it to the NBA, and a lot of those at the time were pushed by single mothers. Again, and nothing wrong with that. They got them to cross the finish line. Now in the NBA, you start to see a lot of the kids that's playing are from previous NBA players. So that's one thing. It's not all of them, but a good bulk. Who on the Spurs, right? They just played in Ron Harper's son, right? He played for the Spurs, and I'm sure I can go down the list, but obviously LeBron got his son in NBA, and there's a lot of different players who played in the NBA for a long time. You may not remember their name, but they poured into their sons. Shaq got sons, matter of fact. But there's a lot of unknown, well, I won't say unknown, but people who were known back in like the 90s, the 2000s, you may have forgotten about because they may not have been like the most, franchise player, but they was great players. Like I said, Ron Harper played for the Bulls with Jordan. Great player. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Jalen Brunson, his dad played in the NBA. He just won the championship with the Knicks. But his dad wasn't a superstar, wasn't a franchise player, but he was able to pour into his son and get him across the finish line. So that's really what's going on why there's a lot of male impact, a lot of male structure around these boys coming into the NBA now. They're not coming from the hood like they used to. Them boys are already coming, like they're being groomed from day one. They ain't just playing on the park, playing pickup, and they just have crazy skills because of their practicing, or they might have had the networking through high school. A lot of them boys being personal trainers. Hell, they dad playing NBA. They already know a lot of information before they even get to college, before the all those different AAU balls. They already there. You follow me? So it's not, the structure is already built. There is a new pipeline for it, for the young boys to be able to, again, come from private practice when it comes to like, being trained by personal trainers, their dads and stuff who's been in the NBA. Then the AAU teams that's being sponsored, who got all the different resources to play against the best of the best always around the nation. Then you push them up to high school, right? A certain private schools. There's a setup, right? I think LeBron's sons played in Cali, right, over in Los Angeles. That's a whole pipeline. Think about LaMelo, the Ball brothers. They all over there, right? They all came through that mix. And then you push them to college. They already got the connections. Let's say they may not have to go to their father's college, school or whatever, university, but they got the, it may be like, hey, let's say it was LeBron's sons. He might call, I'm just making this up, but he might call Ron Harper. Hey man, I'm sending my son to your alma mater, right? Your university. Hey, make sure you take care, make sure you look out. So it's a plug. No matter where they go, somebody plugged in. The coach, a previous player, somebody's plugged into the pipeline, to the chain of the link, right? And so it's just easy for them to, at that point, leave college. And let's say they still need a little bit more work. They ain't got to go overseas and play in, Europe and all that. They got the G League now. You follow me? That allowed them to, make sure they, getting set before they actually go to the NBA. It's kind of like the minor leagues in the MLB, right? They finished developing there. Maybe they had great talent in college, but they need a little bit more work before they step on the NBA stage. So they go to the G League, right? LeBron's son did it. A lot of players go to the G League just to make it versus going overseas. You follow me? So all that being said, to make sure I get the point across and get the point home, specifically to the NBA as one of the examples of the manosphere putting their hands on the structure of raising boys to men from the male perspective versus it being single mothers. This is just one example, right? And this behind the scenes, nobody really, it really ain't being pushed or politicized, but we see it happening. So shout out to him for pointing it out. But yeah, I agree. Will there be exceptions? Will there be one-off still? Some people, make it from a single mother? Sure. But we don't want that. That's the point. We don't want that. We want them to come from a background where it was a male influence, male impact, male value. And again, that's nothing against single mothers, because again, shout out to them for being able to pour into their child, build those connections and resources to be able to get they son across the finish line to the NBA. But we don't want that, right? We don't want that. We want households that come with families with male and female in it to be able to get their son in position to win. That's what we really want. But yeah, I agree with him. I don't see a lot of that happening anymore. And it is more to this. It's more different spaces that's being male, I don't want to say dominated yet, but male impacted, right? How it's supposed to be in a positive way. You follow me? But slowly but surely it's starting to bubble because, again, dudes have stepped back, adjusted, looked at the landscape and seen, okay, this is how we're going to pivot to make sure we coming back, with positivity and strong masculine influences, right? Not this old toxic masculinity. We done with all that. We healed, right? We get in the gym. We getting stronger again with our mind, body, and spirit. You follow them? We connecting stronger now. See, at one point, a lot of men, we were separated. We were just all just working, just going through life, just taking care of family. Now, we're recollecting the minds. And we're going to start making this thing back strong. We'll start building first through the mind and the heart. And then we'll start going from there with the spirit and, like I said, and just build it from there, man. But this is a great message. But that's what I see. That's what I see. But yeah, the single mothers, pulling their child, their boys, up by their bootstraps into the NBA. Yeah, that's probably going to be dead in a few years. It's already basically, like he said, you're seeing a lot of it right now. So anyway, shout out to the content creator. Great message. Hope you got a lot of value out of this video. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video out for anybody who need to hear this message. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.